Welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. I'm Karen Keith, your president, and happy to be serving as the 100th one of these. We had a special treat today in that pizza. The cooler was down, so I hope you enjoyed that. That was kind of a last-minute scramble for the kitchen crew who they just do such a great job. We have some things to be thankful for. The election is over. There are no more commercials. And congratulations to Phil Lakin and all of our city councilors on passage of their big initiatives to move Tulsa forward. Woo! And Lynn Martin is here. She's back in the back. Lynn, we are so happy to see you. Our song and pledge by Bob Reed on the piano, the great and mighty Tom Wolfe. Visitor introductions by Tom Payne. But first we begin with the invocation by Elaine Dishman.
Shall we pray? Do something today to bring gladness to someone whose pleasures are few. Do something today to drive off sadness or cause someone's dream to come true. Find time for a neighborly greeting and time to delight an old friend. Remember the years are fleeting and life's latest day will soon end. Do something today that tomorrow will prove to be really worthwhile. Help someone to conquer sorrow and greet the new dawn with a smile. For only through kindness and giving, of service and friendship and cheer, we learn the pure joy of living and find heaven's happiness here. Amen.
Please join me in singing America the Beautiful.
Thank you, President Karen. It's my distinct privilege today to announce our visiting Rotarians and also our guest of our Rotarians. First, Paula Wood has as her guest Mitch Hellberg. If you would stand briefly and we'll hold our applause. Mitch is with the Tulsa Police Department. Scott Philstrup has two guests today, John Fisher, retired Williams executive, and Dr. Rick Stearns, a retired physician here in Tulsa. Linda Wilson has her guest today, Sally Swafford. Welcome you. Lori Nod has Ron Balcom, a friend of hers. John Stava has a guest today, Jed Wright, former state senator and retired brigadier general with Oklahoma Air Guard. And Jerry Murator has Todd Sparks from First United Bank. And Darrell Webster has John Sawyers from Tulsa County. Let's welcome all our guests today for Club 2500 of 6110 District. Here are Rotarians that are visiting today from Sunrise, past District Governor Tom Clark. Hi, Tom. And from Sand Springs, Harlan Pinkerton. Hi, Harlan. And I'd like to take in a moment to present this banner. I had the privilege of about 3 weeks ago speaking to the Marion East Cedar Rapids, Iowa Rotary Club about the Rotary Rose Parade float and ownawell.com.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom. Our Rotary sponsors this week: James Adair Claude Neon Federal Signs, Ed Monette Jr., Monette and Associates, Scott Petty, Petty's Fine Foods, Rodney Robards, Southern Hills Veterinary Hospital. We encourage you to do business with your fellow Rotarians, and please let's thank all of our sponsors and volunteers. Committee meetings today: Up with Trees, room 232. In announcements, on behalf of the club, I want to extend sincere sympathies to past President Matt Davis on the passing of his cousin, Dr. Perry Inhofe, in Sunday's plane crash. Please keep Matt and Senator Inhofe and Kay and their families in your prayers. Services 2 p.m. Thursday at First Presbyterian Church. Cards on your tables for sending well wishes to Rotarian Luann Bullinger. She's recovering at home from shoulder surgery. And past President and Nominations Chair Del Dreyer informed me no additional nominations were submitted. Therefore, per our bylaws, I declare the nominations closed and those unopposed elected by acclamation. Congratulations to President nominee Jeff Hassel, Secretary Treasurer-elect Paul Bowman, Sergeant at Arms Matthew Bristow, and Club Foundation Trustee Ray Tullius. All will take office as of July 1st, 2014. Let's give them a big round of applause. On December 4th, you will elect one of 3 director-at-large candidates by ballot. To read more about Kathy Gurrell, Tony Oliva, and Steve Perkins, go to the club website. And if you cannot attend on December 4th, see Jane Stewart for an absentee ballot available the next 2 weeks. Absentee ballots must be cast before December 4th by returning them to Jane or the Rotary office sealed in an envelope provided. Now, Jerry Emmons, if you would please join us for the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation Annual Meeting.
Thank you, President Karen. As president of the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation, I now call to order the annual meeting of the foundation and to present our report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2013. This club elects one trustee each year to serve a 5-year term. I would ask each of you trustees to stand as you are introduced. In this 4th year, next year's president, Gordon Greer. Gordon, you here? But there's Gordon. Elaine Dishman, I know she's here. Jean Martin, and John Story. They've all done an outstanding job this year and have provided great support to me. And thank you very much. Now for the audited financial report. If you look up at the screen, thanks to a strong market and wise investments by our financial advisors at Ameritrust, your foundation is doing very well. Beginning balance on June 30th, 2012 was nearly $22,500,000. In this slide, you can see total income of over $1 million, with our major sources coming from IBA awards and from our investments. This slide will show you the disbursements for the fiscal year 2013 totaled nearly $545,000, resulting in a net increase in funds of almost $475,000. As you can see, significant disbursements were around $95,000 for Club Foundation grants to area nonprofits, $90,000 for Crescendo, and $235,000 for the IBA Awards Banquet. Slide 4 will show our ending balance as of June 30th, 2013 was $2,971,761, and since then, we've topped the 3 million mark for the first time. So, as you may recall, designated funds are restricted and may only be spent on specific projects such as Camp Enterprise, Crescendo, and others shown on this slide. Reserve funds total $519,215, leaving an unrestricted balance of $2,452,546, which is pretty good. Okay, the last slide shows that during the fiscal year 2013, trustees allocated $94,368 to the Grants Committee. Those are the checks we see presented several times a year at our meetings to area nonprofits. This slide shows the largest distributions. In total, this benefited 27 agencies and organizations with an average award of around $3,500. Should you have any questions about the foundation, you may contact me, or I'm sure any of the other trustees will be glad to answer any questions. This concludes our annual meeting. We're adjourned, and I return the podium to President Karen. Thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you to everybody who's serving on the foundation, and really they've done a great job with the grants as well. So thank you. Corey, now we have a very special Veterans Day observance.
In honor of Veterans Day on Monday, we're going to do something that's become kind of a tradition in this club. We're going to sing the 5 armed forces anthems. If you served in any area of the armed forces, when your anthem comes up, would you stand and be recognized? Now there's a chorus singing along with us, so all you got to do is just sing along. Let's roll it, Brad. If you don't recognize your anthem, that's your fault. Away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day. Hey, 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 through our last night on shore, hail to the foam. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. At 'em boys, give 'em the gun. We dive, spouting our flames awesome. Off with one terrible roar. We live in fame, we'll go down in flame. Ain't nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in Thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame and glory too. To fight, to save, or fight and die, aye, Coast Guard, we are for you. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, we and the Army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the Army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the Army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong, 2, 3, 4. You will always know that the Army goes rolling along. Thank you. Appreciate you saying it. Thank you, sir. And to those of you who have not served, but you've had a family member serve, or a relative, a relation, a friend serve, thank you for everything. Your service is what puts this country ahead of everything else in the world. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Corey. All right, we have one new member to present today, and Will Smith, if you would please come down and introduce Matthew Horton.
Well, I'm delighted to welcome and introduce Matthew Horton to all of you today. Matthew is a vice president and banker in the J.P. Morgan private banking area. He will be known to us as Matt, and he provides investment management, wealth advice, banking and financial services to high net worth clients, endowments, and foundations. Matt recently relocated from Chicago, where he resides here with his wife Stephanie and their 3 children, Channing 7, Wyatt 5, and Grant 2. He is a graduate of Westminster College in Missouri and enjoys running and biking. Matt's classification will be investment banking. Matt, welcome to our club. And I have your pen, which I hope you will wear every Wednesday, and here's a copy of the 4-way test. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Will, and welcome, Matthew. We're so delighted to have you in the club. And project announcements. Ed Monette, Rotary Foundation Month continues. Do you see what I'm wearing, Ed?
Yes, I see what you're wearing, Karen. This club is an amazing club. Thank you all very much. Since our last announcement about the first class program, 90 of you have become donors to Rotary International, either through the annual program fund or most importantly through Polio Plus since just last week. As you know, we are trying to become the first large club to get every single member to give something. The amount is not important. The amount of dollars is not important. We must participate. If you participate, you get this fancy red dot on your badge. Look around your table, and if someone doesn't have a red dot, glare at them a little bit, and then point at the card on the table. Those that don't have a dot, your dotless ones, fill out that dadgum card and turn it in. We're going to get the 100% First Large Club. As an added bonus and an added incentive, what Karen was pointing at was a fancy lapel pin. Her lapel pin was the actual lapel pin worn on the lapel of Rotary International President Ron Burton from Oklahoma. The reason we're doing this, hers is the real one. He probably has like thousands of them, he says are the real one. But anyway, if we give 100%, everybody in the club will get a fancy lapel pin. But if we all don't, nobody gets one. So, those of you that are dotless, you're costing me a lapel pin too. So, please fill out your card. We want to do this by the end of November, and we most assuredly want to be the largest club in the world, and the first large club in the world to be first class. Thank you.
All right. Ed, next week I will bring you a photo of Ron pinning this on me. Okay, Bob McKenzie.
Okay, going along with that theme, there's a card on your table, as you know. If you will pick that card up and look at it for me, get them around, so we're going to make you fill them out. Anyway, we're going to consider your giving to Polio Plus unless you circle for the annual fund over here. Also, if you'll put the amount on there that you're giving, write your check, put it in the envelope, or put your cash in the envelope, put a lot of cash in the envelope. Anyway, if you're giving to polio, it's going to be matched by $2 from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, so your dollar becomes $3. And I'm so inspired by how much y'all gave last week. I'm giving my second check to polio today. And let's see here. Have I got my screen's up, good. It does count towards your Paul Harris Fellowship. If you give to polio, it counts towards that or your next level, so I hope some of you will move along there. I have a challenge. I put on an email that I sent out to some of you that I was going to try and finish this 111 miles in under 5 hours. Now, that's going to take some doing, I mean, for a young guy like me. But anyway, and so I had somebody challenge me that if I do that, they're going to give me a second check. They've already given one. They're going to give me more money. So they said for me to challenge any of you that might want to, after the fact, give some more if I do it under 5 hours. I'm going to really try. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I told you, Duff, stand up. Look at Duff. Doesn't he look great?
Woo, Duff.
Doesn't he look great? And Duff is riding with me, and Duff's riding 85 miles, and we're trying to get the attorneys to all support him, and we're so glad. Now, I've got another rider for you, and she's on the screen. And I know that, for the ladies who can't abide supporting a man, now you have a female you can support. So Charity, my daughter, is going to go ride again, and so if you'd like to support her, you can. And so what you can do on your card, when you fill it out, you can put a B for me, a C for Charity, or a D for Duff, and we'll know who you want to support. And so I thought that was a great idea. So thank you very much.
Thank you. My challenge to you is please just come back in one piece.
I wish you'd get your check in. But anyway, no, I would say this. When I got my papers in school, a B was always better than a C or D.
That was pretty good. Brad Anthematten.
I tell you, I got to quit getting these tough acts to follow. Last week was Paula, and she's got visual aids, I think, again this week, but stay tuned. I may have one next week. We'll see what's up my sleeve. I'm up to promote Rotary Bell Ringing. Miguel, take my slide. Thank you. Which is Thursday, December the 5th. I want to thank all of you who did sign up last week. Out of the 60 slots that we have available, we only have 22 holes. Now, there's a few that just have one person and need a partner. So please take a look at the board. Give us an hour of your time on that Thursday. There's locations throughout town, times throughout the day. And one bit of advice, because as I mentioned last week, Ron Butler and I have done this many years together. For those of you stationed outside Petty's, you want to get their money before they go in the store.
Oh!
Because when they come out, they don't have any. So there you go. That's my advice. If you've got any other locations you'd like some tips on, I'm sure Ron and I have been there at one point or another in our Rotary history together. So thank you. December 5th. So Paula, you're up now.
Thank you, Brad. Paula Wood.
Okay, thank you, President Keith, and welcome again. And you know that we're promoting Shop at the Cop, and it's on December the 7th. I think the slide's popping up. And you know what? We're shopping again with cops. One was just not enough. Now we have two. And I had, Bob's wasting away, riding for polio. He's getting so thin. I asked him to ride in the cart. I thought he'd fit. So he sent a Proctor instead. So this is SWAC, Shop with a Cop. And in introducing you to our two guests today, Mitch Helberg and Gary Reddick, they are going to be telling you why we are doing this wonderful event. Mitch, you want to start?
Sure. I'm currently assigned to the Gilcrease Division for the Tulsa Police Department. It has a lot of the most impoverished kids in the city. The reason we're doing this, we're partnering with Rotary Club and Tulsa Public Schools. This is a great program. It's spectacular. It's for the kids that probably aren't going to see a lot of things to look up to over the holiday season. And I think it's a great project that we can all partner together and really make a difference in some kids' lives.
Thank you, Mitch. I'm Gary Reddick with Tulsa Public Schools, and I just want to tell you, about a year ago, about the same time, I had a student, a 10-year-old boy, who walked away from a school campus. He's walking off, and the school staff called and said to us, "Would you please help us? He will not come back to school." Very angry, upset. So we find him about a block away. He's crying his eyes out, and the officers stop him and say, "Why don't you want to stay at school?" And finally, he says, "Kids are making fun of my shoes." And sure enough, when you look down at his shoes, they were just awful. The toes were cut out of them. They were about 3 sizes too small. He was a big kid. His clothes didn't fit very well, but his shoes were just awful. They loaded him up in a car and took him to the nearest shoe store, took him in and bought him a pair of tennis shoes. And the smile on this kid's face, the reaction of having that opportunity to build that bridge with the officers was so great. He came back. We haven't had any more problems with him. He's still in school. That's important for us, this opportunity to build relationships with kids through this program. I just don't want to discount that at all, and I appreciate the support, and I appreciate Paula being a part of this, so thank you very much.
Gary and Mitch, thank you so much for being here, and please come back and join us anytime. Okay, Sarge, Miss Janet Rockefeller.
Hi, guys. I got tickets from Tim Nolligan. Thank you so much, Tim. Donated 2 OU tickets this Saturday, Iowa State game. And really, I think we have a chance this weekend. Okay, so if you want to see a winning team, and I don't mean Baylor, if you want to see a winning team, let's bid on this. And, you know, I mean, Tim donates the money to different projects, so it goes for a great cause. So who wants to go?
Oh, I see 200.
Okay, then just think of it as a donation, and you can frame the tickets and put the score on it when OU wins. Come on, Boomer.
Sooner.
Okay, come on.
Matt.
Matt, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
And I don't know what you're bidding in. Frankly, I don't care.
200.
Thank you.
He said 200, Janet.
He said 200? Okay, how much are we picking up of that? No, I'm kidding. Matt, thank you very much. Okay, this goes to Matt. Thank you. Okay, are we ready? Appreciate it. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tim. Okay, did you want me to, is this, wait a minute, or is this some, okay, as long as it's that one. Okay. Okay, Mac, you got turned in by one of your fellow attorneys. He's on the front page of the Oklahoma Bar Journal for lawyers who make a difference, and we know that Mac does. I know that he volunteers at Junior Achievement, and the kids love him at Celia Clinton. So thank you, Mac, for everything you do, and we caught you.
Hey, Mac.
Okay, and Terry Heritage paid $50 in honor of her drivers, Bill and Jerry. So thank you so much for bringing Terry here, and we appreciate you doing that. Okay, next we have John, and that's, okay, thank you. He donated $100, 53 for his birthday, 20 for his years in Rotary, 26 for years in law, and $1 to round it up. It does come out to 100. So, John, thank you very much, and happy birthday.
Yay.
And then Jim, you want to do? He's not going to give another $100, so just once. Okay. Jim, celebrating his Rotary anniversary. Happy anniversary, and thanks for the $150. We appreciate your donation. Thank you. And I don't know if Diane is here, but in anticipation of Improve Our Tulsa package passing, she donated $100. Is she here? Hi, thank you so much, and congrats. I'm so excited that it passed. That's wonderful. Okay, oh, Mark. Okay, he paid $612, but you guys, it's for Celia Clinton. That's $1 for every student at Celia Clinton, and he is donating $612 to thank all of the Rotarians for participating in Celia Clinton. So, Mark,
yay, Mark!
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. And happy belated birthday as well. Okay, and this last one, yes, there are 3 zeros on that. Ken Snow. Ken, thank you so much. In honor of his 12th anniversary for Rotary, and we're thrilled that you're a Rotarian, $500 goes to Crescendo.
Yay!
And then $500 to wherever committee deems it will be most effective, which would be at any of them. So thank you so much,
Ken,
everybody.
stand up. Where's Ken? Great. Is that it, Sarge? That's it. Thank you very much. All right, our Rotarian of the day is John Stava, who joined our club in May of 1990. He's president of the Stava Building Corporation, and they just celebrated their 25th anniversary. He's a Club Foundation Fellow and a Paul Harris Fellow. John is an Air Force veteran, as you may have noticed, served in Vietnam, and then became Lieutenant Colonel of the Oklahoma Air National Guard. John is the proud father of Jeff Stava, who is one of those leading the charge on the Gathering Place on Riverside Drive. So please welcome our Rotarian of the Day, John Stava.
That's an introduction to a pre-introduction, is that right? Napoleon said an army marches on its stomach, an obvious reference to the fact that logistics is extremely important to supporting an army. When I was privileged to fly in the Air National Guard, I was fond of saying that it takes a pound of paperwork to get an airplane in the air 1 foot. And I'm sure that that has translated to terabytes of data now. To give you a little bit of background, the Air Force is divided into 10 major commands. One of those major commands is the Air Force Materiel Command, and it is responsible for logistics, research and development, supply chain management, as well as many other functions. That is located in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, commanded by General Janet Wolfenbarger. About a year and a half ago, perhaps a little longer ago, there was a reorganization that took place. And the Air Materiel Command, which was composed of 12 different centers, was asked to reorganize into as many as 5, so from 12 to 5. Part of that reorganization that took place was the formation of what's known as the Air Force Sustainment Center. That is located in, fortunately, Tinker, Oklahoma City. Lieutenant General Bruce Litchfield was asked to command that at the same time. This was July of last year. He was asked to command that center and was promoted at the same time to Lieutenant General. Hang on. General Litchfield entered the Air Force in 1981 from a distinguished graduate of ROTC. His education includes a bachelor's degree, 2 master's degree, and attending the Naval War College and the Air Force War College, which are very significant events. His decorations, some of his decorations, are the Legion of Merit with 2 oak leaf clusters, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, and the Meritorious Service Medal with 4 oak leaf clusters. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the commander of the Air Force Sustainment Center, which I hope he will explain to you in great detail, because when I read their mission statement, I knew it was not written by a fighter pilot. General? Thank you.
John, thank you for that kind introduction, President Karen. It's a great honor to be here. And I'm convinced, I'm really convinced that if every day there was a luncheon meeting and it consisted of a prayer, America the Beautiful, an anthem, and then a Pledge of Allegiance, this country would be in a lot better shape. So I just think it's an honor and a privilege to be here. And let me kind of build on the Veterans Day theme that you started earlier a minute. You know, Monday was a very special day for me in Veterans Day. Not so much as what I was celebrating for Veterans Day, but for the opportunities I had to be part of the many events. And it started that morning, very early in the morning, when I went to the high school and watched the ROTC junior cadets raise the flag in front of their high school in the morning. And then, of course, the town parade. And that night, I had an opportunity to be with the Boy Scouts as they did a flag retirement where they retired over 7,000 flags at a bonfire. But more importantly, every one of the veterans from World War II to today's conflicts got to lay a flag on top as commemoration, and then the Scouts saluted them. So that's not a bad way to do Veterans Day, and then to be here as part of the national, the roll call was really, really a great honor. And so when you think of Veterans Day, what I think of, and when I look at the colors and the flag and what it represents, you think back to our credit for our nation goes to our founding fathers, and the fact that they were able to put together principles by which we guide our nation, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How simple, how elegant. And quite frankly, what I don't know if they realized what it would take to make those principles come alive. It took generations upon generations upon generations of heroes that were having to support and defend those principles all across the globe and all across the areas. So when I see all the veterans stand up and everyone who is, the shoulders that I stand upon here today to enable me to be able to be part of our Air Force, to be part of our country, I just have to say thank you very much, and I salute every one of you for serving. It's a great honor to be part of it, and let me also tell you that today, as we speak, and I'm just going to speak for the Air Force, and I can give you the bigger number, but for the Air Force, there are 30,000 airmen deployed around this world fighting our nation's war. And if you think about it, if you were in uniform today, and I came with my assistant, my aide, Tech Sergeant Josie Maple, for the entire career that she's been in, our nation's been at war. Since Saddam Hussein crossed the battlefield, the line in Kuwait, we've been at war. And since 9/11, since the terrorist act in New York City, we've been in combat. We've been in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. And today, 30,000 members deployed. And I will tell you right now, there are folks in areas of this world, especially in places like Afghanistan, that no one wants to be, and doing things that no one wants to do. But they are carrying the flag, and they're carrying our honor with pride, and you need to be proud of what they're doing, and I'm proud of what our airmen are doing, and our soldiers, and our sailors, and our Marines, and all the other ones that are deployed out there. They're doing great things for our nation, and they are doing everything they can to combat the war on terrorism, and I think that's just great for what our today's generation is doing for our nation. Now, so a lot of people ask me, what keeps you up at night? That's a pretty simple question, right? So what do you worry about when that doesn't let you sleep? And my answer to that is pretty simple, not a darn thing. I get up in the morning at 4:44 and I go to the gym, and by the time I go to bed, I'm worn out. So there's nothing that keeps me up at night. But when I get up in the morning, there is no doubt about it that I have some things on my mind that I carry with me, and they're my priorities. So first off, number one are those 30,000 airmen that we have deployed. So they're always on my mind. And as John read what we do, I'll make it real simple for you. We're responsible for the readiness of our Air Force. We keep the planes flying. We keep the parts where they need them. We keep the folks' ability to sustain the fight any place, any time, and we call it keeping them flying. And so when I figure that every morning what we have to do is make sure that when we keep them flying, they have what they need to do their job. And so that's number one on my mind. And number two, I have to tell you, has to do with what's going on in Washington, but really how the budget affects us as an Air Force and what we're doing. See, when I look at what's happening and understanding very clearly, and I spend a lot of time on Capitol Hill, our nation is going through this quandary of budget of debt and deficit and how to solve that and how to work through it, and then I look at the impacts of what's happening to us, it's clear it has a big effect. And I put it to you in this way. Right now, what we're doing is we're coming down in our budget from the biggest slope that we've ever been in terms of budget reductions. Not necessarily the biggest reduction, but the fastest reduction in our time. See, after each of our major conflicts, whether it's World War II or whether it's Korea or whether it's Vietnam or even Desert Storm, you know, from our peak to that we were at the funding levels that we were at war to where we came into what's, you know, I call a peacetime footing, there's been a budget reduction as much as 30%. And that should be expected, right? When you're not engaged, you should expect the budget for the Defense Department to come down a little bit. Some people call it the peace dividend. But what I would argue is the slope of what that comes down drives a lot of how you shape for the future, how you then make those budget decisions. And so let me tell you about what's really gone on, at least budget-wise, since 9/11. Since 9/11, and our folks have been engaged in at war, we have spent what we needed to ensure that our airmen and soldiers, sailors, and Marines had what they needed to win the battle, to fight the fight, and otherwise maybe save a life or make a difference. And I have anything but pride in what we did to make sure our members had the equipment that they need when they need it. But it cost us a lot of money, and since then our budget's been on the rise. So now we have to adjust to a peacetime, and how we do it and how we manage it really is important. And so what I would tell you is what we really got to get right in America is what do we want for national security? Then we have to decide what we want for a defense strategy, and then what we have to issue is what we want to resource that defense strategy. That's kind of what I would consider a logical way of doing it. The problem is when you're just trying to cut to a budget, you have to make a lot of tough decisions that may not have good long-term implications, but you got to do what you got to do. So that's the thing that keeps me in the morning, getting up, let's make those sound decisions. And at Tinker, when John read what I do, my organization is responsible for a $16 billion budget. And we have 33,000 people that execute the mission, not only at Tinker, but at other locations, such as Robbins Air Force Base in Georgia, and Hill Air Force Base in Utah, and Scott in Illinois, and Langley. So 33,000 people, $16 billion corporation expenditures. That puts us in the top 25% of a Fortune 500 business. So you can understand why this becomes pretty critical to me and how we wisely spend your money. And so let me tell you what we're doing, and I think that this will give you some comfort that we don't just get up in the morning and run ad hoc. What we're really looking for is how do we make our operations, how do we keep them flying more efficiently tomorrow than we are today? How do we do it now as we go from a wartime footing to a peacetime budget environment? How do we become more effective and efficient spending those resources and getting more for less? And this is why it becomes important. The cost of keeping them flying, the cost of what it takes to sustain the readiness and keep the weapon systems we have in the inventory determines how much that we can afford to keep and how much we can afford to modernize the fleet. Why does that become really important? Because the size of the force that we have today determines how we're going to fight and win the war tomorrow. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a prophet. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know where that war tomorrow is going to be. But this nation, since 1776, has had a next war. And what I want to make sure of is that we put together the force structure, we put together the force that is going to allow our sons, our daughters, our grandkids who are going to have to fight that war to have the capabilities that they need to win decisively on the battlefield. That's how important our decisions of what we make today are. It's not necessarily for what happens today, but it's posturing ourselves for tomorrow. And you don't have to go back in history very far to show that what we do as we transition from war to peace and what we do during the peacetime really shapes how our nation is affected by the next conflict that comes along. And whether we lose sons and daughters, whether we have to use the treasure of our nation in terms of blood to win on that battlefield. And that's what we do. So let me tell you just a fun fact about how we can make a difference. So I told you, 33,000 people we sustain, we keep them flying. In our business, what Tinker is responsible for, along with our sister bases, we return to the warfight about 1,000 aircraft a year. So they come in, we overhaul them, we put them back out in the fleet, about 1,000 of them. In the last year, since we've been in existence, and we put in new practices and new processes, we've been able to up the output by 25%. We've been able to turn 25% more capability to the field. That's pretty impressive. However, we've been able to do it by returning almost $200 million to the budget, to the Air Force, that they didn't have to spend because we were much more efficient. So output up, expenditures down. I'd like to say that if we were a Fortune 500 company and we were going to an IPO, an initial price offering, you'd put your money down. We'd all be rich right now. So, but we don't do that, and I'm not asking for any donations. But that's what we are trying to do for our nation, and what we're really about is keeping the readiness up, driving the cost down, being able to posture our Air Force, posture our forces for tomorrow's war, so that our nation will be able to fight and win any place, anytime. And if you look at what's going on, remember, our focus right now is Iraq and Afghanistan as we pull out of Iraq and we're drawing down in Afghanistan. But we also have to look to the West a little bit, to look to the future of where our economic future is for our nation. And a lot of it's going to go to the West. So as we move to the Pacific and talk about engagement, and even things as simple as if you look at the disaster in the Philippines today, what did you see on the runway? You saw the United States flag with aircraft down and supplies coming in right after that. And that's what we can do. That's what we can do as a nation. That's what we can do to a military. And that's what we can do to make a difference for our country as part of a defense strategy that not only understands how we operate in combat, but also understands how we shape in peace. And that's what our job is, and that's what we're trying to do. Now, as we work on our today's Air Force, I will tell you that there are things that we need help with. And I ask the community for three things as we work with the community and our community partners. The first is the strength of our Air Force, the strength of our nation depends on the education system. Frankly, we need engineers, science, mathematicians. I can't hire enough at Tinker Air Force Base to keep up with the demand of what we need in our software areas, in our engineering areas, and our scientific areas. We have a problem in our nation graduating people that are good in the maths and sciences. You call it the STEM program, science, technology, and math and engineering. We have to be robust in that capability. And I'm working closely with the governor. I'm working closely with our school districts, with our colleges and our universities. I know you gave away OU tickets, and I don't go to the OU games, but I do talk to the director of engineering and the deans and say, come on now, how do we up it? But it's not just at our colleges and universities. It's in our high schools, it's in our middle schools, and it's in our elementary schools. And I say that not everybody that graduates needs to be an engineer or a math or science major, but they do have to understand the principles of the scientific method for problem solving, because that's what's going to make our nation great, the ability to solve problems in a logical way. The second thing that I look for, and I look for help for, is in energy. Now in Oklahoma, people are going, oh, what is he doing, drilling for oil? No. What I want to talk about is energy reduction. Tinker Air Force Base happens to be the #1 consumer of energy in our Air Force. That is not the good thing to be #1 in. It costs a lot of money, And so what we're trying to do as one of the Air Force's largest industrial cities is reduce our consumption of energy through innovative ways, through process engineering, and through things like, as we go forward, to find out technologies that we can insert to drive energy costs down and still keep our mission up. And the last thing I ask for is, as we go through these budget reductions and we see changes, our airmen need support, their families need support. Things that we used to be able to afford inside the gate and inside the base for family services, for recreation, we no longer can do that. The budget just has eliminated that. So more outreach into the communities. And so what we have is opportunities to help those families. And when you think about it, while they're deployed and when they return from their deployment, how their families are taken care of becomes critical to whether they're going to serve another term, whether they're going to have to deploy again, and whether they're going to be able to serve our nation when they need it, in terms of all-volunteer force. So we work for the community support. And I will tell you, in Oklahoma, it's wonderful. I don't have to ask very hard, very often, and I certainly don't employ the fundraising techniques that I saw demonstrated to here. That was impressive. That was highly impressive. But what we are doing is we are looking at ways. And I will tell you this. As much as I say taking care of our airmen, I just want you to know that our airmen are also part of their community. Whether it's in the schools reading to kids, whether it's responding to natural disasters such as the tornadoes that we had in May, or whether it's simply being part of things like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, Habitat for Humanity, our airmen are out in the community. So it's not like they're strangers. It's not like we're not part of it. And it's all kind of works together. And I call it us taking care of each other, and it works pretty well. So I just wanted to let you know about those three things. So finally, let me just simply sum up this way. I am very proud of our Air Force. I'm very proud of our airmen within our Air Force, and I'm very proud of what we do for our nation. And what I kind of end with is, you know what? It is a great day to fly. It is a great day to be part of our Air Force, and it's a great day to be an American. So thank you very much for this opportunity to address you and speak this morning.
Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Is there a limit? Well, I would say this. We try to ensure that we don't overtax them, but let me just say this. Very often you will find airmen over there for a year, and we call them year-long deployments by themselves. And then the question is, how often do they go? And so we have some career fields that are so critical that they find themselves gone, home for maybe 6 months, and then gone back. And it's just, depending on what they do, depending on how critically we need them, and depending on what phase of the war they're in, you'll find more folks on their 5th and 6th deployments in those areas, in those AORs. And I have to tell you, you know, war's not glamorous. And if you've ever been to Afghanistan, there's nothing there that you won't buy property there. It is not someplace that you can call something that you want to go back for. And quite frankly, outside the gate, and this is what it means to be an American. So part of when you go outside the fence and you're engaging in the communities, because that's where you have to go to fight the fight, there's everything like, you've heard them, IUDs, bombs in the road, people shooting at you. You walk into a village and you don't necessarily know whether it's friendly or whether it's the enemy. But I'll tell you what, when you watch any one of our American soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marine, and they get the kids in the community, and they get them together and they start handing out candy, and they start taking care of kids, I don't know how you teach someone to be at war, to be dodging bullets, to fight your way in, and then hand out candy to the kids when you get into a village. That's what it means to be an American. That's what it means when you got the flag on your shoulder. And to me, there's nothing better than seeing that kind of an engagement. So the answer to your question is, it depends. And the good news is, because we pulled out of Iraq, from our peak deployment areas, they're down about 50%. So unless you're in one of the highly skilled areas, the deployments have come down greatly. Yes, sir.
What impact have unmanned aerial vehicles had on Tinker Air Force Base itself and maybe the Air Force in general?
Well, an Air Force in a whole, it's a completely different way. It allows us access to areas that you'd not normally have. So there's two kinds of things that you're trying to do with the drones. One is persistent intelligence. So having eyes in the sky around the clock, that's America's strength, the ability to know and the ability to understand what's going on in the battlefield and to respond to it before the enemy can. That's terrific. So intelligence, and I don't think anybody of any service would want to go into battle without having the capabilities of knowing what's going on or what they're going to speak. And then, of course, the other ones, and I'm sure you've seen them, is our ability to take out some of the high-value targets in places of the world that we're not welcome. And so, you can argue whether that's a policy, whether it's CIA or DOD or however that's being worked. But you gotta say, if we are at war, we're at war, and I don't. The advantage, if it's the advantage to us, I'm not going to apologize for it. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Do you service any of the drone aircraft over there?
I'm sorry?
Do you service any of the drone aircraft at Tinker?
At Tinker, we just stood up the capability to refurbish the engines that go into the drones. So we will do the engine overhauls for the drones, and that's really our capabilities that we're going to start with, and then we're going to start growing that across the entire Air Force. What we found is, in the efficiency arena, we can be pretty efficient at what we do. We're pretty good at what we do, and so the more that we can bring in, sometimes the less it costs, and that's a good thing for us in the whole. So we're starting with the engines. Yes, sir.
What's the population of your employees there at Tinker now?
So come through the gate is 26,000 folks. And that's contractor, civil service, and military environment. Of that, about 13,000 are civil servants. So the way I look at it is, it's your community members coming through. And if I understand it right, 50 some odd counties in the state of Oklahoma come to work at Tinker at some point in time. That's a pretty big one. And the other part of that one, and the rest of about 8,000 military, and the rest are contractor workforce. So the economic impact to the state of Oklahoma is about $4.4 billion, and the total jobs that we believe that impacts is 63,000 folks. So if we draw down, there is a benefit to having a strong Tinker in the state of Oklahoma. And we talked earlier about our best wishes and prayers to Senator Inhofe for the loss of his son, Perry. That's a great loss, but I will tell you, Senator Inhofe is a great representative for the state of Oklahoma. We deal with him quite a bit. Yes, sir.
How does what you do at Tinker relate to the International Guard unit here at Tulsa?
Well, the Air National Guard in Tulsa, of course, we have a communication relationship with. We service their engines that we do on the F-16, but we also have a Guard unit, of course, at Tinker, and the Adjutant General, Major General Miles Deering's a good friend of mine, so I think we have a great relationship with the Guard, and we work very well together. And I will also tell you that Tuesday morning, after the Moore tornadoes, I went down to the emergency center at about 04:30, and there were Tulsa Guard members there bringing equipment from the Tulsa Guard, light-alls and generators and such, to help out in the city of Moore, and they did that voluntarily. So I think it's a great relationship, and we work well together. Anything else? Okay, so I just have to go on record, right? I understand the rules, and my job was to get us done by 1 o'clock, and I did that. So we're in your overtime, and I don't want to get penalized for that.
I knew you read that up. I have one more job for you. Lieutenant General Litchfield, you have to sign this book. It is Sea Star Wishes, and it'll go to our adoptive school. So I forgot. I should have had you do that earlier. So, all right. Upcoming programs. Darren Spoo will be at Thanksgiving, and Michael Skelly the next week, Clean Line Energy. And as you leave today, please welcome our newest member. Will, if you and Matthew would kind of head out just ahead of the crowd, if you'll head on out, they'll be right behind you. And now, our mystery Rotarian. These two gentlemen are not Walmart greeters. No, they are proudly standing on the 18th hole at the famous St. Andrew Golf Course in Scotland. That is Harry Livingston and Tom Hardcastle. And I'm just wondering where their kilts are. And with that, we will close this Rotary meeting. Have a great week.